Hello, this is Kali J.N.S. and today we are continuing with the Queen Mothership enterprise architecture, and we will be focusing on the social fabric and the culture aspects of the Queen Mothership. Now, if you guys do not know, this is a part of a larger blueprint that is currently published, but we're doing the video format of the blueprint so that Black Americans can understand what I'm doing and so that we can have some transparency so that there's nothing left out. So pretty much I'm reading the blueprint verbatim to you, and we're covering certain chapters. Like today we'll be on chapter 4. So we already covered the first 3 chapters, and remember, part 1, we talked about the intentions, agenda, and the definition of the Queen Mothership enterprise architecture. We covered briefly some of the history behind the Queen Mothership because, again, we been doing this for a while. Like, this is something I've been working on for 3 years. So first we covered the history of the Queen Mothership in matriarchal societies, and we found out that there were plenty of matriarchies for melanated people within West Africa as well as North America for those who are indigenous. So that has already been established, and we cover some of that history. We cover some of the specific tribes, some of the tenets. That was years ago. So now what I wanted to do was create something for Black Americans in the 21st century of a blueprint of things that they can process based off of their epigenetics, based off of what's natural to them. So I was thinking of ways like, okay, what would it look like for us to have the enterprise architecture in 2023 based off of our matriarchal framework? What does that look like for our sustenance, for our livelihood, for our structures, for our processes around social fabrics, around culture, around education, things for our children, things for us that we can benefit from as men and women, as Black American men and Black American women. So that is what I was thinking of. And I wanted to put this in video format because I do understand not everyone is going to go and read something. So it's like, I'd rather have it in video format so where people just click on it, if something they're interested in, or whatnot. Right now, I'm working on the Queen Mothership charter for the branch that I will be developing. I'm also working on a newspaper. We got the outline for everything that's going to be covered in the newspaper for the Queen Mothership. And that's just, again, because I want to do more on the grounds work. I'm going to be still doing the YouTube stuff, but I will be spending less time on social media and actually just being on the grounds with Black Americans and engaging more, because that is my focus. And I'm realizing I have to get off of this internet thing. So I'll be putting out a lot of information in that regard. And when we focus on our economics section, we do have some alternative measures of economics that I'm building out. So I had the software framework done for how we can do the economy app. Remember I was telling you guys about like how we would be doing a point system versus just fiat currency. We have other ways to where if we didn't have any dollars, if we got completely locked out or sabotaged, like how would we be able to trade services and trade goods? So I've been developing different economies of scale and figuring out like what kind of softwares can we use, what kind of QR codes can we need, do we need to kind of develop a point system. I have narrowed down on some bespoke softwares that we can customize, solution-based products that we can customize and whatnot to be able to deliver the system to be able to set up that parallel economy, as well as still use fiat currency. We'll have dual system and we'll be agile in terms of using both, because if you have the option to keep your money and just barter with your services, that's a good thing for Black Americans. But also if they try to do something with us, we're good anyway, because we're developing something parallel. And that's what I really wanted Black Americans to understand, is the necessities of building parallel infrastructures that only you can benefit from, based off of what benefits you as Black Americans, where you can thrive in, communities that you can thrive in, systems that you can thrive in, and communities where you can depend on one another and protect one another and love on one another. And that is what this is about. That is what the Queen Mothership framework is about. We are for Black Americans, Black American men, and Black American women. We need you both. So even though this is a matriarchal structure, when we covered the governance, when you look at part 2, we talked about the governance and the role that men play and how they do pretty much have equal positions of power, and how even though we had specific roles for the Formidable Council of Men and for the Queen Mothership Council and the Elder Council, we understand that there is some fluidity in terms of what people are interested in, and we don't divide labor on the basis of gender necessarily. I just based it off of pretty much our history, our pre-colonial history. I looked to see what black women were doing back in the day, looked to see what black men were doing back in the day, and adjusted for the 21st century and said, okay, let's see how this works out. But we're adaptable. And that is what the Queen Mothership is about. It is about structure and our processes. And another thing that I want to get into with the Black Americans is the idea of automation and running processes in terms of our community structure on automation. So where if anybody gets taken out, if I get taken out, if the next leader gets taken out, the Admiral branch gets taken out, whatever happens, you can still run the shit without anybody. But you have to build out those structures and processes. That's one of the things I got frustrated with these black liberation movements, or like these quote unquote black empowerment shit, is that everybody is saying you don't need leaders. You can't have a leader because that person's going to get targeted. And I find that it very erroneous, because even if you do say you're going to have a code be a leader, or you're going to have leaderless movements, you still need to build out the structures and processes of a community. You still need that automation stuff. You need some mechanisms in place. And that needs to be built out. So someone has to build it, even if you do it anonymously. And what I'm not seeing is that stuff being built out. So it's like, okay, you need both. I don't care what anybody tells you, Black America. You need both leaders, and you need structure, and you need systems in place to where if those leaders get taken out, the system still keeps going. And that's why I keep talking about the parallel infrastructure. Now, I know that it's like, why is a woman talking like that? That is so masculine for a woman to be coming to the forefront talking like that. Well, maybe that's true. My mind is very different from the average human. Okay, so I think in terms of systems anyways, but I also have a lot of emotions. I'm a very emotional woman. But when it comes to the community, there's a certain archetype that I get into. There's a certain persona. It's a persona, and it's me. Obviously, this is me. This comes very natural to me, but it's an archetype of the divine feminine. And that archetype is one in which it's solution oriented, and which is extremely cerebral, and which is it's more logic based. And that's just the archetype that I have to present in order to help lead this community. And that is what is needed. I can't, so the nurturing aspect, that's another side. That's a different side of me. But when it comes to like, okay, let's see how to put a lot of the stuff that we need together in this community, there is going to be more of a mechanic side of me that you see that deals in terms of system approaches, very logic based, very non-emotional, very structured. That's the part that you're going to see of me when we talk about like the enterprise architecture. There's going to be certain times where I can be more nurturing, where I can be more caring, where I can be less, structured. But when we're talking about like the groundwork, like the governance, the social fabric, the culture, the economics, the actual literal building, like we're going to be getting into like what kind of materials we'll be using to build some of the co-housing stuff that I want to do with Black Americans. All that stuff has to be, somebody has to think deeply about that stuff. You can't just skirt corners. So I know that this may come off like, wow, this is incredibly like mechanic, but we need to get through those certain stages. And again, Black Americans, you do need both. You need people that will step up as leaders to develop, whether it's decentralized communities, hierarchical, whatever you're going to do, you still need people to step up and do that shit. You're going to have people to step up and put themselves on a line to develop this stuff. It's as simple as that. Because regardless of whatever this government's going to do, whether they're going to give us these reparations or not, whether we're going to have to develop a lot more strategy to as leverage to try to get these reparations, we're still going to have to build parallel infrastructures. We are still going to, once we get this money, or however long it's going to take for us to do it, some of us are going to come together and build something. Some of us are going to experiment with new ideas of education, with new ideas of innovation for our children, of new ways of getting healthcare to one another, where it's based on self-sufficiency. Some of us just going to want to be self-sufficient. A lot of us are tired of this matrix. So while we don't expect every Black American to be on board with what we're talking about, or to understand, like, okay, parallel infrastructure, that sounds like you trying to uproot something, we out. I don't want to hear that. There's going to be plenty of Black Americans that just be like, that's not for them. And that's fine. And no one's trying to force their ideology on anyone. I would never try to approach someone and try to force it on them. It's like, either it resonates with you or it don't. Either you get it or you don't. Either it's something as of interest to you or it's just not, you know? And that is where I'm at with it. But you're going to have people who just say, you know what? Why not? Why? You have mechanisms for homeschooling children. You have mechanisms for community gardens, for our sustenance, for our food, for our shelter and our clothing. We got new innovative ways of doing economy, of doing currency. Let's try it. Let's try it, you know? And so that's where I'm at with this Queen Mothership. It's based on the processes. It's based on the mental processes of melanated people. And that is what I studied in our culture pre-colonial times. So before slavery, before colonization, before the big bad white man, we had our own shit. Okay? And a lot of the situation that we're into, and I'm going to keep a real Black American, because I know not everybody gets deep into the history like other people do. But a lot of this shit, man, that's popped off was by our own people. And it sucks to admit that shit, but it's true. And, it is what it is. But now, there is racial stratification that we're dealing with. There is whiteism. There is unfair structures that are taking place that are seeking to literally ethnocide and genocide the Black American. That is very much a real reality today. So when we think about like what we were doing in the past and the way that we think, before the brainwashing, before the mental slavery, what were the things that we were doing? Whether you're indigenous to America or whether you're indigenous to Africa, what the hell were you doing before the colonizer? And that was very important for me to study the mind of the Black American man, to study the mind of the Black American woman, and then the African woman, the African man, what their essence is, and to say, okay, how do they think? And what is best for them, and to come up with a structure for that. So that is what the Queen Mothership is for. It does deal with our spirituality. It deals deeply with the metaphysics. We go deep into, we're big on child care and child rearing. Our children are everything to us. We're big on love. We're big on spreading love. So we do have a Black American Man Day. We have a Black American Woman Day, and we spend those days catering to one another, loving on one another. We got an Ancestor Day. Okay, we have weekly things. It's going to be very cool because right now we're building the shell out for the Queen Mothership. So we're in the boring phase where it's like, this is just so, we're just talking about the shell and the structure. But once we get into like the charter and some of the package that I'm creating for, like, that's going to be passed out like on a grassroots level, on the ground, it's going to have some of the more social things that we'll be getting into, like the community based stuff that we're doing, really cool infrastructures and things for our kids, things for Black women, things for Black men, things what we're doing together. We're going to get into all of that, the cool stuff. But unfortunately, the blueprint is quite boring. But I think that this video was going to be cool because today we're talking about social fabric and culture. But I really want you Black Americans to understand that I do want you to challenge when someone says they don't need leaders, we don't need leaders, we shouldn't have leaders because the leaders are going to be killed. That's a very cowardly approach to things because, for one, we should never encourage our men, Black American men, to not stand up to be leaders. Because then they can say, you don't let me lead. But then in the same breath, you say, we don't need any leaders. We can't have any leaders. Which one is it? So I want to encourage a Black American man, always, always see yourself as top-notch leader of everything that you're doing in your life. Always see yourself as a leader first and foremost. And also, I understand the idea of, okay, when certain people stand up, they have a target on their back. I'm pretty sure I'm officially targeted. There's a lot of weird things that has happened over the past years, and it is what it is. But I'm unafraid. I don't care. My thing is, I'm like, shit, somebody, so we gotta do this. It's just something in my soul. It's something in my spirit that's pulling me towards making sure that I do my part to help preserve this Black American, because there are some things at play where a lot of you guys are not even realize how under attack we are, and that we are literally, imagine just a group of Black Americans sitting together minding a business, and you got every other group of people on the planet literally trying to take from your essence and take from your culture and take from you, and that is very disturbing to me. Now, individually, you may not see it that way. I see things from a very macro level. So, and that's just my personality. I can see things on a very macro, high level. That's just always been me. I very rarely can get into the individual aspect of things or even the micro things. It's always been that way. It's like, what is the bigger picture here? What is the overall message here? What is the overall structure going on? What is the overall things that they're doing to the Black American? So collectively, I can see shit that a lot of other Black Americans can see, but then a lot of us can't see. A lot of us there's Black American men that are literally saying there is no such thing as white supremacy, that there is no such thing as a caste system, that there is no such thing. And maybe in their individual reality, there's not, because in my individual reality, I'm chilling. My individual reality, like, honestly, if I wanted to just go off into the matrix and just live my life and not have to deal with this shit, and I have to deal with the surveillance, the stress, the stuff that comes with putting your focus on the Black American, I can go and do that shit and be very well off, but my soul, again, that's not my calling. That's just not what I feel compelled to do. I've had the opportunity and I could have done it. And I've said, my heart is where it's at. My heart is where my people are at. I don't like what's happening to the Black American. I don't like it. And it frustrates me, and with me, I'm a lover and a fighter. And when I see forces coming against a group of people that's really always gotten a short end of the stick of something that's really been done dirty throughout history and haven't been getting a fair shake, my response is to fight back against that. Is not to cower. It's not to act like it doesn't exist. It's not to bury my head in the sand. It's not. But I also believe in self-reflection and introspection. And I believe in the power of the mind, and that this universe is mental. I believe in the power of consciousness. And I also believe that when the Black Americans come together on one accord in mental processes, maybe not all of us, even just some of us with the most powerful energy, our most powerful chi. Those of us with the most powerful chi, and when you got powerful chi and powerful prana, we are the ones that are the programmers. We need to come together and program how this community is going to thrive and survive for the next 1,000 years. That is what it means to be a leader. You are a problem solver. You solve problems. That is what it means to be a leader. So you need leaders. You need to solve your own problems. And even if you say, okay, none of us are going to go on record saying that we are the leader, that's fine. But you must build out structures and processes of automation within your community so that when the leaders get taken out, that system runs smoothly without you. We're talking about everything from the way you procure water, the way you disseminate education and knowledge, the way you do economy, the way you barter your services, the way you conduct business, all of that automated. What else? The way you get water, and the way you do your agriculture, the way you do food, innovative ways to grow your own agriculture. All of those, you need systems or processes for all of that, for your food, your clothing, and your shelter. And I don't care how it looks, and I don't care what people say about me, but I don't mind building that out, and I don't mind taking the hits for it. And I don't, and it's very stressful because I'm only one person. But if I can have, just 10 or 30 people to just help me build this shit out, then I know that we can do something for this community. And if I'm the one that gotta be the one that gets, the target on their back because, oh, you stood up, or, oh, you saying that you're the leader, I don't give a damn. Because for one, when since has Black Americans gotten so scared to stand up? Like, what's gotten into y'all where y'all scared? What the fuck is, like, I can see, my thing is, and I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, Black American. We gonna get into the chapters. We gonna get into social fabric and culture. I'm deviating a bit, but I really want to stress this out to you, Black American. When somebody is putting your back against the wall like that, and when it's government, when people are putting your back against the wall, you don't cower. You don't fucking cower. You fight back, okay? You put up your motherfucking dukes. You get in your fighting position. Obviously, I'm not talking about physically. I'm not telling you to do nothing to go to jail, okay? I'm talking about mentally and spiritually. When people got your back against the wall and they trying to, push you down, you fight back mentally and spiritually. Just imagine yourself in a fighting stance, ready to put in the work because somebody is attacking you or because somebody trying to take from you and steal from you. That's what I need you to do as Black Americans. I really need you to get in that mode. Like, don't let nobody take nothing from you. You use your mouth and you use your mental power to fight back. You use your mental strength and you develop your own systems. Don't ever let nobody try to bury us like how they've been trying to bury us. It's not fair. It's not fair. And I just don't like when I see people be saying like, we have to, I don't know. I just feel this energy of this kowtowing, this cowardness. Like, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. And I know a lot of times I can be quiet about things because I'm always learning. I'm always observing. So I observe more than I talk, believe it or not. Now, I know you see videos of 2 hours of me just talking on YouTube and shit, but believe it or not, I am much more quiet. Like, when I start to do this grassroots things on getting on the ground with Black Americans and meeting them in person, they're going to be like, why is that person so fucking quiet? I'm naturally very observant. That's how I learn. Then I speak when I have something important to say, when I want to get something off my chest. That's when I talk. This is the most that I've talked all week, believe it or not. This whole week I've been cerebral, writing books, editing books, doing my trading. I do the options trading and stuff, and learning about the stock market and studying markets and shit and charts all day. And today I want to talk to my Black Americans. I want to talk to you. So this is the most that I've been talking all week, is today. So I say that to say that I'm very observant. And I'm watching my people, and I'm watching you guys, and I'm seeing, the politics and, around this reparation shit. Really, that really blew my mind. And look, Black American, I know they trying to pull the wool over your eyes and not see, so that you don't pay attention to what the hell happened. And I'm not the one that want to demoralize our people. So I'm not going to be, look, I'm done with it. I'm gracefully bowing out of that shit, because the spirit is gone. Authenticity is gone. It's a lot of wickedness in high places and principalities that we have to, wrestle with. And as Black Americans, and to be honest, a lot of our people have folded, and a lot of our people have straight sold the fuck out. And I can't be around that. I can't. I've been around that shit for 3 years with people that was big in the reparations. A lot of the people that's into these organizations or even, in certain positions, I done had conversations with them. We don't talk, we don't argue or whatever, a lot of us, we were big in that reparation stuff. We really wanted to see just, in terms of the racial wealth gap and the income inequality that we see with the Black American. To me, it was like, man, if we can really get a cash infusion in our fucking communities, imagine what we can do. So that was very important to me, and I know how I grew up, and I know how hard it was for my family and people in my family, how hard it's still for a lot of us. And I'm just like, we really needed that cash infusion based off of the current genocide, based off of being currently locked out, things that are happening to us in today's time. It's not about slavery. For me, it's like we got clear as day injustices that's still taking place that I think we need to highlight more, So a lot of us, our soul is into that reparation shit. I'm telling you, like, man, like, I've been around for years behind the scenes, and I've been around, obviously around every Black pot and power nigga that you can think of, learning from them over the years since I was 19 years old. I was in the conscious community. was big into that conscious community, that HOK shit and all that, watching that stuff and learning. And obviously the conscious community is not nearly as conscious as it once was, when the old school of conscious shit. I like the old school type stuff when you had the Bill Valentine and the Delbert Blair and the Dr. Ben, the Dr. Clark. Obviously, old school conscious stuff. That don't exist no more. It's a mess, you know. So I kind of left out of that like around 2016, but I've still always been the same. I've still always been for, you know, this is something I've just been obsessed with since I was about 19 years old. Like ever since like I was watching some documentaries about Black history, American Black history, as well as African history. And, you know, and my mom, you know, she always grew up having that type of stuff. My mom always had stuff about Black Americans growing up. Back then, you know, a lot of that stuff said African American. But a lot of, I remember just growing up, just seeing all those documentaries. We had encyclopedias for Black Americans. Like it's just something I grew up with. So it's something that never left my soul, in terms of wanting to make sure that my people is in a better position, in a power position. That's always been on my mind, you know. But I have to say, that reparation stuff that passed, and you know, this reparation stuff, that really took a lot out of me. But it also opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to the level of wickedness. Like it really did. And I'm talking spiritual now. You know, like the reparations movement, that really opened my eyes to like how. And I'm not talking about, you know, any Black Americans' wickedness. I'm talking about like the system itself, like how people literally dicked us around, like that level of wickedness, like how people were dicking us around in terms of like trying to do the trick bag language, trying to trick us out of our claim, people wanting to steal our claim and our birthright and our identity, and want to include themselves and feel entitled to something that's just not their experience, or that they're not affected by, to voluntarily move to a racist country and then try to usurp someone's identity and lineage. Like that's wickedness to me. Like that's strange. Like that's spiritual warfare. And I'm like, to see the level of spiritual warfare that the Black American is dealing with, it's like, no, we got to put our dukes up. We got to be strapped battle for war with the armor of God, whoever is your God. We got to really see this as like a spiritual battle, because these people is literally trying to take us out the paint. And I'm not letting it happen. I'm not letting it happen. It's not going down that way. As long as I got breath in my body, I will be speaking out against ethnocide and genocide of the Black American. I will be putting my foot forward to build out processes and parallel infrastructures for this Black American so that they can have self-sufficiency. I will be building out things for our cultural apparatuses, for our education apparatuses, for Black Americans so that they can benefit from. I will be developing an arranged marriage program for Black Americans. We're doing all of that. Okay? And I would say this, Black American, at least you know when you're going to bed at night, at least you know when you go and tuck yourself inside your bed, right? When you do that at night, at least you know, okay, that girl Kali J.N.S on YouTube, you know, she a little eccentric, but at least I know she loved me. And this is what I really want you to walk away with, Black American. If you don't see nothing else, if you don't believe nothing else, at least you know when you go to bed at night, Kali J.N.S loves you. Okay? If don't nobody else love you, if you ever feel like, okay, don't nobody love me, I'm all alone, whatever. No, that's not motherfucking true. That ain't true. When you go to bed at night, just know, okay, that eccentric girl on that YouTube, she be talking about she love Black Americans. She says she love me. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I mean that shit. I love you. Okay? Maybe some days you get tough love. Maybe some days you hear me going off the rails, you know, complaining about something. Whatever. My heart is where it's at. That hasn't changed. Okay? I just ask that you look out for me when need be. And by that I mean speak up if you see something going down with me and you see them come after me. Have my back, because I'm gonna build out this shit for us. I'm stepping up, and I don't give a shit. And I got some information coming for you guys. I have some we're getting into knowledge production. I'm going to be teaching Black American children knowledge production, because right now what's happening, Black American, is people are trying to teach our children stuff. They're trying to teach our children and indoctrinate and program our children so that they can be cannon fodder for this system. So they can pretty much just go right straight into the machine, brainwashed as a motherfucker. So they built out their institutions and their education apparatuses of everything that's already structured out. So your kid can be fucking programmed. So what I've gotten into the stage of doing, and you guys know I'm a scholar. That's one of the hats that I wear, is that I'm a scholar. But what separates me from other scholars, and there are other scholars that can do this, but it's a skill set, and I'm not bragging, but it is a skill set, is being able to produce the knowledge yourself. So it's one thing to just regurgitate. Okay, I read a bunch of books and then I can just regurgitate what's in the books because I'm a sociologist or whatever. Yes, that technically can make you a scholar, but that is what everybody is doing. That is what anybody that is appearing well learned and educated is doing. They are regurgitating other people's work, other people's scholarship, other fields of knowledge. So, like the field of anthropology, the field of archaeology, the field of sociology, the field of psychology. Just go through all of the other people's stuff and just regurgitate it. And it's like, oh, I'm well learned. No, what we want to do as people, what I'm going to be teaching our children and adults too, because adults can learn from this as well. What we're going to be doing is going into knowledge production itself. So creating new fields of learning for Black Americans, just for Black Americans, whole new ass fields for Black Americans, and whole new ass theories for Black Americans, and whole new ass frameworks for Black Americans. So we will have our own education systems, not even just like, okay, Nakhti University, okay, I 100% own this education MOOC system platform. Like, no, we're going deeper. We're going to be building out those fields. Now, I'm not knocking other fields. I'm not saying that not all of them are credible, but what's important is that the Black American develops their own ways of doing science, their own methodologies. So we have our own field. We have the alchemy reservoir field. That is a theory that I developed for the Black American. That is literally your work. And also I got some very cool things in play. We have different systems now. We don't even have to do with this Pan-Africanism thing anymore, because I came up with a whole new entire framework, whole new name, not based on any landmass, whole new structure, strategy-based, action-based. It's going to be released around next week. So, obviously today is May 20th, so it'll be ready around sometime next week. Today's May 20th, so like whatever. But it's very important that we have new theories, new systems. So I'm also developing new theories around human origins. That is, once again, centering the Black American. Because my thing is, Black American is, we gotta build this collective power base, but we do it through the mind, and we have to do it through centering ourselves. Like this is how you get power. Like, you have to think in terms of like, you gotta start taking shit. You gotta start like dismantling shit and just putting your name on shit. Like, seriously. And that's what we're doing we're gonna do it with education, but we're gonna do that with everything. We're gonna do that with medical. We're gonna come up with new cool ideas of doing healthcare, of doing science, of doing agriculture. Like, this is what I know our people are capable of. I already know it. So, I don't even need to be convinced, because I know good and damn well who the Black American is. Even though some of you guys don't know, and maybe your self-esteem is not so high, but I know who we are. So when I say that, new ideas of knowledge production, that is very, very important to me, and I'll be giving you examples of what that looks like. So the Alchemy Reservoir is one example of that. The Queen Mothership is one example of that. The Queen Mothership Enterprise Architecture is one example of the structure building. But then entrusted melanism framework, which is the alternative to Pan-Africanism, that is also an example of knowledge production. And the theories that I'll be producing about human origins and how we're dismantling the fields of archaeology and anthropology. And not so much dismantling, but just really calling into question the limitations of the methodology of how they are determining Black Americans come into existence, or how Africans come into existence. Like, it's like, no, we totally need to reorient our minds on the whole system. Like, it's like, no, parallel infrastructures, not just parallel infrastructures, but like whole ass knowledge productions. Like, so you need, when you have your parallel infrastructure, when you have your power, the way you maintain your power is through your knowledge dissemination. So you have to be in control over the knowledge production. So when I'm going to be teaching Black Americans, like, okay, this is how you create a whole new field of information, a whole new theory of phenomena. This is how you're going to have to do that as a people. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm working on that now in real time. I have examples of it. And the next 2 books that I'm coming out with really solidifies that in terms of when we're talking about this idea of knowledge production. That is very important, and it needs to be us doing the producing. Because again, right now, these institutions that are not owned by us, that are not ran by us, that are not funded by us, they are the ones doing the knowledge production. That is what's causing your brainwashing. That is what's causing your psychological enslavement. I'm telling you. So to me, it's like, destroy that, attack that. If you can control the knowledge dissemination and do it yourself and produce the knowledge, you become the programmer. Okay? So Black Americans, I want you to, I know I went off the rails there a bit, but that's going to be very important in this Queen Mothership. And you're going to see a lot of our people be very much immune. They're going to be immune to Western programming, psychological enslavement. You're going to see, like, once I'm done and done with everything I need to do, my whole job is to help reprogram the consciousness of this community via the knowledge production, so that they can get out of their psychological enslavement and this Western thinking. That's one of it. Preservation of the Black American, so that 1,000 years from now, they are still here on this planet Earth, being able to still tell their story, so that they are here on this planet, thriving, having mechanisms of self-sufficiency, having mechanisms that make them thrive on this planet, building out those processes for them and helping them with their structure. That is what I'm here for. That's it. Now, in between all of that, yes, we want to have fun. Yes, we want to love. Yes, we want to be in a nice whimsical world of festivities. Yes, that is true. But part of my mission in coming back to this planet Earth is I didn't have to come back. I'm not one of those people that got caught up in a soul mind trap machine or none of this Masonic credit shit that y'all into. I didn't get caught up in that. I purposely came back as an avatar, and yes, that has been very challenging because I kind of bit off more than I can chew and underestimated the level of programming that is on this planet, the level of infiltration of certain even entities. Yeah, you know, but I do have what I need inside of me to get the mission done. Okay, I'll just say that. I'll get the mission done. But it's like, whoa, you know. So the only thing that I ask of the Black American is to have my back. Like, don't abandon me, like how y'all abandon all y'all other leaders, like how y'all abandon like people that stand up for y'all. Y'all abandon people that stand up for y'all. And all I ask is, don't do that shit to me. Like ride out, like have my back. Because the things that I want to do, it is very risky. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything illegal, but I'm doing things that can literally put my life in jeopardy. But I'm fearless, because if you've been through what I've been through, if you've seen the shit that I've seen, and if you knew the shit that I know, I guarantee you will be just as fearless. I'm telling you, with this shit that I went through, I know some shit that would shake your ass to your core that's not even worth repeating, because none of you fucking humans will understand me any damn ways or even believe it. So there's no point in even, like some things that I know that it's no point, it's 0 point in even coming out saying anything, because your asses is not gonna believe it anyways. So if you're wondering, like, okay, why the hell you so bold, like why that kind of shit, the stuff that really go on this planet, and the stuff that the way this shit is really ran, like, man, you might as well, like, to me it's like, the man, somebody gotta say something. That's all I gotta say. Somebody gotta try. It don't matter what the outcome is. It's like somebody gotta try to put their foot, somebody gotta try to stand up for righteousness, man. That's all I gotta say. Somebody gotta try to stand up for righteousness and justice. And there's this saying, my mom had gave me this this bracelet, and it said, justice and righteousness is our foundation. Then the week before she gave me that bracelet, I was talking to somebody, and they showed me a tattoo, and the tattoo said, justice and righteousness is our foundation. And then somebody gives me like this coin, like this, like on the back of the coin it says, justice and righteousness is our foundation, 3 times. Now obviously that's a verse from the Bible. I don't knock people's religious beliefs or whatever, but I think that's a very deep quote. Justice and righteousness is our foundation. And I just thought that was so, I just was like, why do that keep popping up? So I went to go look more into it, and it's something that sticks with me, and I'll just say that again, you have to be fearless, Black American, in these coming days that's coming towards us. Okay? The days that's coming towards us, you're gonna have to be fearless, or else you're not going to exist. Okay? If you don't stand up, if y'all don't stick together, and you don't have the people that love you back, if you don't have their back, and if you don't protect the people that's willing to stand up for you, and you can't do that, you will not be on this planet. I'm telling you that these people are coming at us with full force, and I'm not trying to scare your ass. And like, I don't go and read you all that data and shit I be reading about our genocide. I don't be trying to force that on you and trying to read that depressing ass stuff to you about I don't be telling you all those about the reports and stuff I be looking at. It's not looking good. What do you think is pushing me? What do you think is making me going so hard about all this self-sufficiency stuff and our parallel infrastructures, and just going out, like, making sure that we ride for each other and building up stuff for ourselves? And it's something deeper that's pushing me. As far as like the role of government in all of this, I do think that the government should be paying Black Americans reparations, and that they should be doing more to right the wrongs that they have systematically engendered. They have engendered certain systematic, it's a fact. There's the reports on how redlining still affects us in 2023. Is affecting Black Americans in 2023. We have reports about medical apartheid. It's not like we making this shit up. This shit is really real. So I do think that the government should be doing more to rectify that. The thing is, our people, how do I say this? I just think that we have a lot of people that be willing to sell us out. So with me, I don't have the greatest faith in the government, in terms of I don't have the greatest faith that we have fighters that can take on that fight with the government and not be swayed by bribery and selling out. I do think that's a component of it, and I also don't think in this 400 years, I'm just not convinced in 400 years of history that, I don't know how to spend my energy on that. I don't. And I'm not saying that you can't, if you're in the Queen Mothership or whatever, and you are political as hell and you really want to, go that route in terms of, going with the government route, that's your business. Like, that's just not my personal agenda right now. I'm not saying it never will be, because I would like to run one day for something, but I just don't, at what cost? My thing is, I'm not taking no oath. I'm not bowing down. I'm not kissing no ass. I'm not sleeping for a position. I do fair. I like a nice, fair and square campaign. I take the righteous road. So my thing is, if I don't know how politics work that well, so that's why I'm like, okay, if I do get into this politics stuff, I got to really catch up. Like, right now I am studying the positions of like local government, really studying local government right now so I can learn more. So I'm not trying to tell Black Americans to not be involved in their government and making changes with that, just because I am talking about more of community-based initiatives right now. That is where my focus is on. I'm not pushing that on nobody. I'm not trying to meld the two together. I'm not trying to convince you to do one over the other. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I personally am still studying that aspect of it. So that's why you won't see me go on a limb like, okay, I've got these policies for us. I got this, what we need to do, and this is how we need to approach the government. I don't have that all figured out. I have to learn that from other people. I learn from other people about the politics stuff and about our reparations stuff, because I'm not trained in politics. I'm not trained in that type of stuff. So I have other people that do have access to like working with a government or writing policy and stuff, but I learn from them, and I that's how I've been learning from them. And I've also been taking more initiative once again to study local government. Like this, I'm really studying that because I would like to get involved in that one day. But if I can't do it the way I want to do it, then I just always have to be on the fringe, because I'm not going and I'm not selling my soul for nothing, and I'm not doing no hanky pank shit. I just want to run a nice clean race, and if I win, I win. And if I don't, I'm going right back to my community and spending time with my community and my community-based initiative programs that I want. And for the Queen Mothership, that's it. So I just wanted to get that out the way, because I know it's like, are you trying to push libertarian views on us? What's your views on the government? My views is, I'm still learning more about that shit. I am not convinced in 500 years that they have done anything good for us. And I think they need to start doing things good for us. And I think they owe it to us. And I think that's the role of government. And for Black Americans who are politically astute, those tend to be the ADOS people that identify as ADOS. I notice tend to be very politically astute. Also, those who say they're freedmens, they don't want to tend to be on that politics shit. I just, something I noticed. And if that's what they're into, then more power to you. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's just that right now, my mind is not on that right now. My mind is like, how do we build out these parallel infrastructures? And the people that's working on the reparation stuff, hopefully we get these reparations and we could, be even in a better position, but based on what I saw and how I've been involved in that for 3 years, my bubble has been burst. My bubble has been burst. So enough with the long tangent rants. I'm so sorry, guys. Again, I'm just letting it all out for the week. I'm letting it all out in terms of like what's been bottled up inside. So forgive me. And, let's start on the social fabric of the Queen Mothership. Oh my gosh. I had told myself I was not going to do a video over 1 hour and 15 minutes and only have 19 minutes left. So let's see what we can get. So I'm going to read verbatim and tell you what a social fabric is. So the term social fabric has been used to describe the complex relationships between a society and its people, involving all aspects of culture, spiritual development, land acquisition and conservation, technology, education, intellectualism, economics, vocational skills, teamwork, and defense. So in the context of the Queen Mothership, that is what our social fabric is. So it deals with, again, aspects of culture, spiritual development, land acquisition and conservation, technology, education, intellectualism, economics, vocational skills, teamwork, and defense. Okay, so these are the various structures that binds the members of a society together. Those is that's what's going to bind Black Americans together. Okay, those following things. Again, the Queen Mothership is not for everybody, Black American. If this is not what you are feeling, and if this sounds too structured for you, then go on your merry way. But for those of us that it's still, that's trying to progress and get and become enlightened, this is something we pay attention to. Okay? So culture is an integral part of the social fabric, as it provides individuals with meaning and purpose in life and creates a sense of belonging of those within the group. This includes celebrations. So we're going to be doing a lot of celebrations of festivals, activities, storytelling. Spiritual development is also vital to this bond. It provides individuals with a deep understanding of their inner self and builds connections among them through beliefs shared by the group. So again, you guys know that everything is optional with this Queen Mothership in terms of like some of the things that we do and the programs that we offer. One of them is spiritual development. I am a minister, and I don't push religious ideas on anybody. I don't tell you need to believe this, you need to think what I think. That is not the purpose of the Queen Mothership. But we do have like spiritual development things that we'll be doing, and it is optional. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. You know what I mean? So the next part of the social fabric of the Queen Mothership is land acquisition. So in the Queen Mothership, land acquisition for the Black American is very important. Okay, as well as conservation, and it's fundamental. It's fundamental, as it is the basis for an economy to flourish and bring stability. Okay, so now we have education and intellectualism. Education is very important in the Queen Mothership, but what kind of education? Remember, us coming up with our own knowledge production, our own systems, our own theories, our own books, our own knowledge base. So we might do things with education. You got math, you got English, you got math and English, and what's the other one? What they do? I think it's just math and English. And yes, you need things like your computer engineering, your nanotechnology. You need that shit. But we're going to be also, as Black Americans, developing our own fields of knowledge, different fields. It's very important to us in the Queen Mothership because we want to. Not only we worried about our power collective base, but we really want to be innovators in this world because we eventually want to be in positions of power as Black Americans, as a Black American power base. So intellectualism and education is very important. Technology is also important. Okay, that is in the Queen Mothership social fabric. We're going to be emphasizing a lot of STEM. Even with Nakhti University. Nakhti University promotes STEM. Hardcore STEM, because they say sociology and STEM and some of the social sciences and human sciences are now STEM. No, but I'm talking about the hard stuff, the Python, machine learning, the cloud computing, the TensorFlow, the CompTIA, those stuff, the JavaScript, that type of technology. Like you're learning to make the apps. You're gonna know how to make the apps. You know how to build them. And maybe not true. We talking about our children. We talking about the children in the Queen Mothership. When we give them their homeschool curriculum, they're going to be into the hard STEMs on Nakhti University, personally. Okay? And I will be, and in addition to that, we're going to be encouraging such creativity out of our precious Black American children because our children are very creative. So we're going to be encouraging and letting them flow, letting their personalities flow, letting them flourish, letting them express themselves. And when I was raising baby boy, I was raising a child, I will always tell him, express your soul. Express yourself. And he would just bust out laughing like as a 6-year-old or something. Like, it's really not that deep. It like really. But it helped him. It really did, because it was like, encouraging him to be his authentic self. But it's like, express. Like, don't hide it, And I really want that for our children. It's so important for them to know that they are valuable and that their thoughts matter and that they matter and that they, and to express and be themselves and be confident, and don't hold back and don't feel like, don't feel ashamed to think, like, oh, if I say this out loud, people gonna think I'm stupid. They're gonna think I'm this. I really don't want Black American children to feel that way. That's how I felt growing up sometimes, you know, and I just don't want anyone to feel that way. If I wish I could tell myself something younger, it would be to express yourself, express your soul. Okay, so that's what we do in the Queen Mothership. And that's one thing that I always admired about Black Americans is that, see, with me, I've always been mechanic. I've always been a very structured, logical thinker, a very, you know, that INTJ personality. Remember, there's only 0.3% of women in the world with an INTJ personality. I've always been that. I've always been extremely kind of like, you know, just mechanic in my thinking. And I always admired about Black Americans, even though I'm Black American. I'm Black American on all sides, like for generations, right? But like what I really loved was seeing my people be so expressive growing up. I'm like, I really thought that was so dope. I'm like, man, I wish I could be like that. And I'm trying, like, I'm just now like trying to just, you know, okay, express, be yourself. But it's like growing up, I just always had this reservation, always was so reserved, and I'm still very quite reserved, you know, even now. It's ironic. But again, what, you know, a lot of times when people promote stuff, they're projecting the things that they want to say to themselves a lot of times. So when I tell, you know, the child that I was raising, express yourself, express your soul, I really just want to say that shit to myself, you know. But I thought that was so cool, you know, that how Black Americans express they self, you know, and open with that. So it's separate, you know, and but I want more of it. You know what I mean? Like I want more of it, you know, because I know it's other Black Americans like me too that are more reserved, on the reserved side and shy. And I'm like, no, we want our children bold in this world. So I overdo it, you know, I overdo it. Okay. So another part that we're also, and so another thing that's also important in the Queen Mothership is vocational skills. Okay. They're very important to the Queen Mothership. And we encourage vocational skills. We love vocational skills. The men that can do vocational skills, women that do vocational skills in the Queen Mothership. Oh, we need you. We need those vocational skills, the plumbing, the electricity, okay, maintenance. We need that. That is very important in the Queen Mothership. We prefer vocational. We prefer sustenance skills, you know, we prefer carpentry. Okay, we prefer we love carpentry, we love construction. This is what the Queen Mothership prefers, as far as this is a part of our social fabric. Like I'm literally going through our social fabric. Okay, so we had technology, we had land acquisition, we got vocational skills, and now we have teamwork. Okay, teamwork is for Black Americans. This strengthens the social fabric. Okay, we must build camaraderie. We must build that trust. We have to be intentional about building trust with Black Americans as one another. Okay, so a lot of us, we feel like we may not be able to trust one another, but in the Queen Mothership, trust is very important in the Queen Mothership, and we do trust activities. We're going to be doing activities to build that trust with one another. Okay, so what's the next one? And we have defense. That is the last part of the social fabric. Defense. Okay? Being able to protect yourself from external threats. Okay? That's very important. And we do have a QM defense team in the Queen Mothership. And we don't tell nobody to do nothing illegal. You know, we just do typical self-defense. We do the gun range. You know, when we talk about the martial arts, we're gonna deal with archery and martial arts. This is very important in the Queen Mothership. It's something that we do teach our children. Archery is very important. Kids will know archery. Kids will know various forms of self-defense, whether it's jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, whatever. We're gonna be getting into all of that. Okay, and now let's cover some more part of the Queen Mothership, which is spiritual development, because again, spiritual development is a part of the social fabric. And when we talk about social fabric, remember, these are just things that govern the Queen Mothership, but it is not shit you have to personally believe in. You have your own mind, you have your own thought processes, and we encourage critical thinking, and we encourage thinking on your own. Okay, This is a social fabric, which is different from groupthink. Okay, so now let's go. So the responsibility of the Queen Mothership is a ministry to help individuals in the community, and that is to be supplemented with the Nakhti philosophy. Again, all optional, but the Nakhti philosophy is a system that I came up with, that I developed out of my mind, that is copyrighted for the rest of my life, that is federally copyrighted, that I developed, helping humans, and particularly Black Americans, overcome their subconscious mind, to become the masters of their subconscious mind, and to be very aware of the programming that they receive and that the programming that they want in their state of consciousness, so that they can transcend consciousness. How do you manage the levels of consciousness within your brain at will? How do you control your emotions? How do you balance your heart and your mind so that you can create certain realities with your motherfucking brain? So that's what the Nakhti philosophy teaches. And again, you don't have to ever be bothered with no shit like that. Okay, don't think that, oh, here she come trying to push up. Hell no. Queen Mothership, again, this is a enterprise architecture that I'm building out. So there's going to be my influence. So the Nakhti philosophy is something that is a part of spiritual development that is optional if the Black American wants to learn more about it. It's as simple as that. If they want to know more about it, I'll teach them about Nakhti philosophy. If not, they don't have to hear about that. Okay, but it's pretty much how to program your subconscious mind for personal growth based on what you desire, based on what you is determining is the good life. What is your moral system based on? What is your state of consciousness? And what do you want to see more of in your life? Not what your mama said, not what I said, not what your parents said, nothing. What you say is the good life for you. Okay, and there is a process systems. Again, everything, I think I really am serious about automation. Like, I automate everything in my damn life. Right now, I'm learning about robots to program my trade so I can automate my trading. Like, that's all. I automate everything. Automate stuff from whether it's e-commerce, whether it's education. I'm always thinking about automation. And when I'm thinking about automation, I'm also thinking of automation of psychology and automation of consciousness. How do you at will start to manifest your reality at will? Is through the programming of your subconscious mind. And so I'm like, how do you automate those processes to get to that level? So that's what the Nakhti philosophy is. It's really deep though. It's some really deep shit if you really can get into it, for those who can handle it. But if it's a mental activity, it's mental work. And for those who can get to that level and you do that, oh, thank me later is all I gotta say. That, because that really came out, and I got some stories around that, because that they didn't want that book to get out, and it's severely shadow banned, because again, a lot of that stuff about, like, that stuff is not supposed to be out on the market, but it came from my soul. And again, I have entities and ancestors and certain energies that I walk with that is propelling a lot of that material. I really feel like I'm just a vessel, to be honest, oftentimes. But as Jenny, but as Kali, the avatar, is like, that's a whole nother level of energy that I'm dealing with. That's an archetype. And, Kali, that is a real thing. Like that is the spirit that walks in me. But there's also other archetypes as well. And I'm not saying that I'm like fragmented or anything. It's actually talk about fragmentation, mental fragmentation, and the Nakhti philosophy of how to deal with that for those who may have been programmed to be fragmented as children. It deals with stuff like that too. Again, this is deeper level stuff. So that is what the Nakhti philosophy is. It teaches individuals how to transmute pain and how to manifest it on high levels of consciousness. How do you transmute childhood traumas and shit? So they're encouraged. As Black Americans, you're totally encouraged to get the Nakhti philosophy, but again, it is not a requirement. We also have a church. It's called Nakhti Church of the Higher Self. The higher self is literally getting back to yourself. It's like, that's what it's about. Teaching you not to ever externalize your power to anybody. Get back to your heart and mind. and master your subconscious mind. That's pretty much what the church is about. And we're again, it's spiritual development, because I'm big on this Black American having full capacity over their mental processes, because every day they trying to program us with some bullshit. Every day they trying to program us with agendas. Everything is a damn agenda. You can't even watch a TV show without some weird agenda being inserted in. That's why I had to stop watching The Chi. That used to be my shit. I used to watch The Chi. I used to watch Empire. And I'm like, it went to shit. I'm like, oh, and Power is starting to. Power was one of the last ones that didn't have all that to me. I didn't really get like, okay, oh my gosh, this is agenda based. They're trying to reprogram me. And to me, I feel like the Power book, the subsequent shows of Power with Ghost Sun and stuff. I honestly, it's starting to get a little programmy to me. It's starting to get a little agenda-ish. And sometimes that's not always sometimes even if it's just overly, I just don't like that energy, so, to me, being able to see and deconstruct programming and to boomerang it back and to become the programmer, that is what is so important to me. I'm telling you, it feels really good to be a programmer when you're the one in the matrix dialing, influencing how people think and how people talk, and you're the one behind the scenes, because I'm telling you, people are trying to program you. So one of my goals is like, if I could teach a couple of Black Americans how to become the fucking programmer, that's dope. Okay. And you wouldn't believe some of the shit that, again, all I gotta say is, it's 24/7 of them trying to do this shit to us. So that is what our spiritual development is about, is getting back to our higher self, connecting our heart and our minds in balance and in tune with the laws of the universe and nature, and doing what makes us happy, doing what you deem is happy, what you deem happiness, what you deem moral. Okay, getting back to yourself. What is your critical thinking capacities? And God is within, and God is all around us. So it's like it's deep processes. And again, you don't have to believe in none of that stuff. You don't have to care about any of what I just said. You just don't. If you like this Queen Mothership stuff, again, it's a component of the social fabric. It's just a component of it. And remember, I was telling you about, justice and righteousness is our foundation. Faithful love and truth go before you. That's very powerful. Faithful love and truth go before you. Always speak truth to power, Black American. Okay. And this is what it says in the book. It says, our belief is to speak truth to power at all costs and never cower. That's literally in the book. Our boldness activates our genius, creativity, and action. When we hear the word righteousness, what frequently comes to mind is an individual who follows all of the rules and never strays from doing what is right. And while that definition isn't wrong, it's not the complete picture. The root meaning of righteousness is straight or upright. To be righteous then means to be heading in the right direction without veering off course. Okay? So that's what is one of the guiding principles in the Queen Mothership. Speaking truth to power at all costs and never cower. That's literally in the blueprint. Okay? Again, this is about structure and process. We're molding consciousness here, as you can see. Now, you don't have to, this don't have to resonate with you. I'm hoping that somewhere, somehow, that there are some Black Americans that this resonate with. It's as simple as that. So let's cover more about land acquisition, because again, land acquisition is a part of the social fabric. Land acquisition is a critically important process for many individuals and organizations, whether it's to build a new residence, open a business, or develop land for agriculture or conservation purposes. Acquiring land can be a critical step in achieving desired outcomes. So that is very important for us in the Queen Mothership. Getting access to land requires understanding the legal process of obtaining it, which we all know. depending on the local laws and regulations. And the process of purchasing property may vary from place to place. However, an individual must research zoning regulations and valuable property. So pretty much this is just stuff in the book about how to do land acquisition. So that is a part. I'm not going to read that all to you verbatim, but just know that land acquisition is important in the Queen Mothership. That is something that, like, when we come together intentionally to do these communities for the Queen Mothership, Black Americans, we're going to be discussing land. We have a land committee. Like, it's good. Like, we're literally actively like, how do we get fucking land? Like, so that's very important in the Queen Mothership. Obviously, next to that is land conservation. Not only will we be building, our own little micro cities and own intentional communities on that land, we'll have some elements of land conservation. It's going to be very important for us because we will be growing our own food, and we will need to preserve our natural resources and protecting the land from certain chemicals and stuff, So we maintain, things with our clean air and preserve habitats for wildlife, and providing recreational opportunities for people, on that land. For us, this is going to be our land. Like, we're going to co-own it. Like, we're serious here. So we're going to talk about parks. We talk about forests and farms. Like, all this stuff is in the book. So some of the things that we deal with is making sure we check our overgrazing, making sure we constructing our dams. We're monitoring that. We're changing agricultural processes, and we're doing afforestation. So all of this is in the blueprint, but I'm not going to read all that to you because it's a little tedious. What else I have in there? I talked about vegetation and wildlife. Okay. So now the next part of the social fabric of the Queen Mothership is economics. Economics is incredibly important to the social fabric, if not one of the most important. Okay. So obviously this is important for our group economics and creating economies of scale, and even with our intentional community, we have to optimize available resources, and we're going to be doing a lot with economics. Now, I am doing a whole video on that, so I may skip through all of this. What types of, let's see. So this is in the book. It's if you guys want to know more about it, but it's economics, and there's a whole chapter on economics too. So that's why I don't really want to cover it here, because we have two types of economies. We have I'll just cover them real quickly, but we won't go in depth. We have the community investment and trust funds. We'll have that as one part of it, because that's going to deal with our fiat currency, but we're also going to have the point system broader economy that I told you about. We're going to be doing that through an app. And we're going to be literally able to accumulate points based on services that we offer and exchange those points as currency. So I'll be getting into that in a separate video. I have some of the technology that we'll be using for that and working on that. But I also we're going to need some customizations around it. So that'd be really cool. But that's kind of later down the line. But I think it's still cool because that's something fun that I like to think about. But we'll be doing economics in a separate chapter, so we're not going to cover that here. We're also doing defense. Defense is very important in the social fabric, but that's also going to be its separate video. That's going to be the next video, so I'm not going to cover that either. Okay, so defense is part of the social fabric, but it's its own separate video. So now I'm going to talk about the culture. So I'm just going to read this verbatim. I believe, how long do we got? Yes, I'm going to read this verbatim to you as far as culture. So obviously resilience is a part of our culture. So resilience and confidence are essential traits for any individuals who possess to cope with life's pressure. They give individuals the strength to face difficult situations without fear and anxiety, enabling them to manage stress and setbacks better. So Black Americans, resilience has always been a part of our culture, straight up. Okay. Confidence is also a part of the culture of the Queen Mothership. We want our Black American children to have tons of confidence, and we want you as Black Americans to have tons of confidence, okay? And it shows that you know how to set boundaries with other people, that you can make sure that you're not being taken advantage of or manipulated by others. So confidence and resilience is a part of the culture in the Queen Mothership. Another one is experimentation. So experimentation are essential components of technological advancement. So when we talk about experimentation, I don't think we're talking about like anything sinister. We're talking about like more like experimentation in technology and agile processes. When we talk about like developing like these robotics and artificial intelligence, we want Black Americans to do that type of experimentation, and that's why it's important to implement that into the social fabric of the Queen Mothership, because we're constantly agile, we're constantly adapting and learning as we go, and as we build this out for ourselves, we build these parallel infrastructures. That's experimentation. Building out this parallel infrastructure, the arranged marriage program for the Black Americans, the sexual center for the Center for Sexual Health and Family Planning. That's experimentation. We're experimenting. We're building these things out for the community, and we're seeing the results. As simple as that. It's experimentation. So the next one is teamwork. So I was talking about that earlier. So teamwork obviously is essential, and I talk about in the book how it leads to more productivity, and how you need an atmosphere where ideas can be shared openly, where resources can be utilized jointly, leading to better decision-making processes and all of that. So that's in the book. The next one is knowledge application, but I wish I would have said knowledge production, because I already covered that earlier about how we'll be coming up with our own systems of knowledge for our Black American children. I already covered that, but knowledge application is essential for us in the social fabric of the Queen Mothership. Okay, the practical application of knowledge is what is important as well. So by honing our skills and becoming creative and crafting solutions, all that it's in the blueprint, so I'm not going to read all of that, but one of the things about that knowledge application is the critical thinking. So I do touch upon critical thinking in the book, but critical thinking is very important in the Queen Mothership. Again, social fabric. Imagine a big old pot that you're cooking of like gumbo, and we're adding things on the social fabric of the Queen Mothership. And these are some of the things: the knowledge application, the teamwork, experimentation, resilience, power, autonomy, love, science, intellectualism. All that's going into the pot of the social fabric, okay, for the Black American. And remember, we are doing this from the mind of ourselves. Okay, so the next one was vocational skills. Remember, vocational skills is very important. So I covered that earlier, but I expound about that just a little bit in the book, and how it's very important for the Queen Mothership to have those vocational skills for the local economies, manufacturing items, providing specialized services, technical abilities. So we talk about that and how we need that for job creation in our intentional community as the Queen Mothership. Okay, so remember that the Queen Mothership is an intentional community for the Black American, and vocational skills is very much needed. So next one is education. Now, I did go into the deep end about knowledge production, about disseminating of knowledge to build a power base so that you can do your own programming. I covered that. So obviously education is very important for me. I started Nakhti University. I've written 14 books. I have background in sociology and technology management, business, and instructional design and technology. So I am what you would call traditionally educated, but I'm also self-taught educated as well. Like I'm a polymath in multiple fields just from being self-taught. But also I do have like formal education or whatever. But it's important for the Black American, and again, we're open to community-based scholarship, and that's what Nakhti University is. It's community-based. So not only is it's a MOOC, and it's e-marketplace for e-learning itself, but it's community-based. And once we start building this out, I really want to start building this out with you guys. And again, that's why I'm going to be getting more on the grassroots. Like we're going on the ground, and not so much with the internet aspect of this. But community-based education is so important to me. So where we're homeschooling our children, I'm going to turn Nakhti University into a way where we can actually homeschool Black American children in this bitch. Like, especially when we do the intentional community, we're going to build a small little campus for the children right on there. And but what makes it community basis is not only for the children aspect of it, but literally for adults who need MOOC, professional development skills with hard STEM, like IT field. So it's like, this is going to be pretty cool for us in terms of when I say community-based scholarship. Like the books that we're producing, the knowledge that we're producing is for the community. Anybody can participate in it as well. And that is how we're going to disseminate education. We're going to develop new ways of doing education that is centered on a community and informal learning, as well as e-learning, as well as knowledge production of our own institutions, of our own education. Those are very important, in addition to obviously being able to fit into the real world. Many of you are going to still have your own jobs, and working in IT and working as in a medical field or something. So we're going to also emphasize like those skills as well. Financial accounting, like college level financial accounting that's taught by professors. Like we have those courses, certain things that you guys will need. Marketing taught by marketing experts. Like these courses are on Nakhti University. And so we're going to always have that as well, but we're also going to start developing a lot of innovative ways of educating children, Black American children, and getting them involved in their own education is going to be cool, because the part of the homeschooling is for them to be very exploratory and very, very inductive, very exploratory. And we want Black American children to go with their passions early on in life and develop those amazing skills, so that by the time they're 16, they're like savants in whatever field that they want to be in, and it can, and don't even have to go traditional routes of programming in terms of like academia or college and all that stuff, or playing in the NFL or NBA. Like we're developing a parallel infrastructure. So we want it where Black Americans can utilize their own skills for their own community and for their own self, like whether that be in sports, kinesthetics, the sciences, the social sciences, the arts, the crafts, whatever, so education is extremely important in the Queen Mothership. That is, education is very important to me, obviously, but not in the typical sense that you would think. I'm a programmer. I think in terms of redoing the way we learn in education and allowing for our natural path of learning as Black Americans, as melanated people. We learn differently. We process information differently than most people. We actually are very good with understanding ideograms, pictographs, music, koans, proverbs. Like we understand life lessons and even with certain things that we say, the way we say certain things. So the way we process, to me, is very important as a people, and I want to highlight that. It's not highlighted currently in our education system. It's severely repressed and suppressed. So I want that highlighted. So that is the education. I believe that is what I wanted to cover. So in the book, it is a lot longer, because I talk about the Black American Research, Cultural, and Policy Center, the things we want to do about that, and I talk about the Center for Sexual Health and Family Planning. That's all in the book. And then the Nakhti University Community Center, and that's more about the community-based scholarship, community-based homeschooling for our children, turning the idea of campus inside out and school inside out. Like our homeschooling is going to be a lot different, and I'll be coming up with some cool ideas for that. So that is it for today, Black American. That is it. And the next one we're going to cover is, I believe the next video is on economics or defense. I have to figure out which one, but I believe we'll go into economics and then we'll do defense. But economics is very important, so that's why it's getting its own video. And this is going to be about Queen Mothership economics. We're just going to talk about economic system of the Queen Mothership. Okay, so Black American, make sure you are keeping your head up at all times, standing proud, standing tall at all times, and making sure that you are putting your best foot forward in everything that you do, loving yourself very deeply, loving yourself and encouraging yourself and motivating yourself. Never bow your head, okay? And that's it for today. I hope that this is resonating with you. If you are interested, please send me an email at info@nakhti.us. I will be having like a more formal, like I'm working on an application right now, like where we can start to like get on like a mailing list of people who want to do this. And people who just want to connect, because we need to start to build a community. I am putting this in video form, but I actually will be going more on the grounds for this project, especially because I am working on a newspaper for us, a newspaper for the Queen Mothership, detailing all of this stuff in there in like a nice little cute brochure form. And I will be handing out this newspaper to Black Americans and engaging with them on the ground and talking with you guys and getting to know the people on a deeper level than just this internet stuff, because honestly I'm getting tired of the internet. I am. It feels constricting to my consciousness at this time. Okay, so I love you guys so much, and I will be talking to you later. Bye.